welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to go through all of the Mass Effect books and tell you what the reading and playing order is for the games versus the books. So I'm going to do two separate things. One will be the chronological order, and then the other one will be the order that I personally recommend. So first I'll do the chronological order just to make things a little bit easier. The first book is Mass Effect Revelation. I have a hard time keeping the titles straight, but this is your first introduction to Saren. We get some extra detail on Captain Anderson, and we also get introduced to Kaylee Sanders too, and how all of their stories kind of intertwine. Now, the thing with all of these books is that you get a whole lot of different perspectives, and it can be a little bit confusing, especially because with this book, I think it's the worst, where things aren't set up the same way as they are in the game, and that's because, I mean, it takes place, I think, like somewhere between 10 to 20 years before the first game or something like that. I could be wrong. I'll have to look it up. It's been a little bit since I looked up specific timelines. So things are placed differently, like the weapons on their armor and that kind of thing. And yeah, things work a little bit differently in the books than they do in the games, which is a little bit strange, and I don't know if that's a problem that a lot of people have. Sorry, I keep getting notifications. But if you actually look on Goodreads, all these books are rated pretty low. But I loved all of them, so do with that what you will. But I think that's all I can really say on this one. So chronologically, you read this first, and then you play the first game. And then, after the first game, you want to move on to Mass Effect Ascension. This takes place, I think it's roughly like 2 months after the first game. And there are some references to things that happened in the first game and that kind of thing. In this one, we are mostly following Kaylee. We get introduced to Cerberus, and that becomes more important later on. And it's about her work on the Ascension project, which will make more sense with time, I promise, if you've never played the games. Then before jumping into Mass Effect 2, you're going to want to read Mass Effect Retribution. This one has more to do with Cerberus, and I think I read that this one takes like 2 to 3 months before Mass Effect 2. And between Mass Effect 1 and 2 is 2 years. So there's a considerable gap between these two books, so keep that in mind. This one, we get both Kaylee and Captain Anderson together again. And we also, in both of these books, we also get introduced to Gillian Grayson and her father. Her father works for Cerberus, and we get more of his perspective in this book than in Ascension. So then after that, you are going to want to play Mass Effect 2, and then finally you can read Mass Effect Deception. I forget exactly how long before Mass Effect 3 this takes place. I think they say at some point, but I don't fully remember. It's been a little bit since I've read these books. Now, the thing to know about this one is this one has come under a lot of controversy. This is the lowest rated book on Goodreads, and I will say a little bit about that. So if you don't want spoilers, I'll put a timestamp on the screen so you can skip to that part if you don't want anything revealed about this book whatsoever. So the main problem people have with this book is that there is a character, I'm not going to say which one, who kind of overcomes their autism. And there is a proper reason for that, though. The reason why their autism was so bad was because of things that Cerberus was doing to make it worse. So, with that out of the way, then it's going to get better. And people who are autistic can be fully functioning. There's no problem with that. I think maybe it could have been better handled, but I do think this author, because the first three books are written by Drew Karpyshyn, I think is how you pronounce his last name, and then this one is by William C. Dietz. I don't know. It's spelled like this. Forgive me. But honestly, I think this author captured the same essence of this one. Of like all the previous books that were written fairly well. There were some differences, but not very many. Now, as far as my recommendation goes, the only thing that I would change about that reading order. Oh, and then after Mass Effect Deception, then you play the third game. I'm not going into. I don't know anything about Andromeda or the graphic novels or anything like that. There is a Reddit post about it. I will see if I can find it again, and if I can, I'll link it in the description. But that details all of that, including Andromeda, including all of the graphic novels and all of that. So there is that. But the only thing that I would change about the order that I suggested would be to read this one after playing Mass Effect 1. And that is just because of the fact that these books are written, especially this one, it is written with the context that you already know what the world is like. Like, you've already played the game and you're kind of backtracking a little bit. Because while there are descriptions of things, some people could probably picture well enough. It's going to be a lot harder to imagine certain things and that kind of thing, because there were a lot of times when I was reading this book and they'd describe something briefly and I'd be like, oh, okay, I know exactly what he's talking about. But then it made me realize if I hadn't played the first game, if I was just getting into the series for the first time, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know how it looked or anything like that. So I would recommend playing the first game first, then reading this to backtrack a little bit. Overall, I love all of these books so much. I think this one is the weakest. Maybe this one, actually. I don't know. One of these two would be the weakest. And then this one is kind of in the middle. But then I think Retribution is the best one. So, quick little review of the series for you as well. Of course, I love the Mass Effect games. As far as the main trilogy goes, I love it so much with my whole heart. That is all I have for you today, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!